IAE day 1. What should we start with? There's a bunch of links. There's the IAE show. I think we'll probably start with the IAE show. And then I'm missing a video from them. So 1 second, let me grab that. There's the IAE show and the Crusader Intrepid commercial. So we'll check out the commercial after the IAE show. So we'll start with that. Here we go. Let's see what the IAE show has. It's loud, I can tell you that much. Holy, let me lower that a little bit. I see Jax.
And that, where's my...
From the show floor, the new starter from Crusader.
The Intrepid is the newest starter ship from Crusader Industries. Specializing in cargo delivery and lightweight combat, it carries several unique characteristics that set it apart from others of its class. The Intrepid carries its 8 SCU of cargo in 2 freight elevators, which also serve as additional entry and exit points in emergency situations. And while its armament might seem modest, the Intrepid bolsters an exceptional size 4 weapon hardpoint, giving it an edge over other starter ships when piloted well. Whilst
when piloted well,
this starter ship's distinctive design pays homage to Crusader.
There's literally numbers. It's just DPS numbers that aren't good enough.
Crusader's larger starfighter ships, its dedicated engineering terminal also ensures efficient operations for any challenges ahead. The Crusader Intrepid looks to be a worthwhile entry into IAE's showcase of vehicles aimed at entrepreneurial pilots making their initial foray into industry. And you can find it on this year's show floor to consider for yourself.
Making their initial foray into industry? Yeah, no. Definitely not. I can fit 12 SCU inside of a cutter, right?
Despite official denials by leaders throughout the Empire, sources now confirm the existence of Legionnaires, the UEE's daring, highly trained special mission force. Their purpose, to defend human freedom against Vandal and the forces of tyranny and evil throughout every corner of the galaxy. And they can now be yours in the comfort of your own quarters. The next wave of authentic Legionnaire figures and vehicles. There's Shadow Stranger with Hornet Ghost, Hound Dog with Hornet Tracker, Sandstorm with Tumbrel Nova, Dr. Parasite with Terrapin Medic, Major Dauntless with Crusader Intrepid, and General Jax McCleary with the RSI Polaris. And while the UEE may not be able to confirm the existence of Legionnaires, you can recreate your favorite scenes from the hit show on Spectrum. And don't forget to buy 2, so you can always keep one new in box, in case you're ever crazy enough to sell one. Legionnaires. They'll send the van.
Oh my god, it's literally G.I. Joe text.
Oh, back where they come from.
That's kind of funny.
Playground sold separately, requires meshing for assembly.
Welcome to the IAE Show, brought to you from New Babbage, the site of this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and your guide to the future of spacecraft and vehicles in the verse. Up next, we discuss A Time to Kill with Rich Tyra, John Crew, and Jared Huckabee. Don't change the channel, it's the IAE Show, and it starts right now.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome to the IAE Show. I'm Jared. We're here talking with Rich and John about the future of space combat, spaceship operations in our Persistent Universe game. There's a couple topics we're going to cover, one today and then 2 more as we go. I want to talk about something that is at the core of the entire spaceship experience, and that's time to kill. Now, right now in Star Citizen, as players have known it since 2015, your ship can take a few shots and then it goes, poof, you know, fiery explosion. A very impressive fiery explosion.
So this is interesting. This is an ISC, but really weird. The Like a really weird way of doing it. Okay.
explosion. Shout out to Mike Snowden and his team there.
I'm
But
not watching
that's
from the
not the
website.
experience that we've been building towards. And a lot of the changes that we announced at CitizenCon with insurance and whatnot, these are tied into the future direction of spaceships and life on board spaceships. Talk to me about time to kill. How long are these ships supposed to last? Are they supposed to go up like confetti like they currently do? And what's the vision for space combat supposed to be?
I think the first thing we need to talk about is moving away from time to kill and move towards time to disable. Because in the PU, ships are not always going to explode, but we want you to be in that loop of wanting to own your ship. Loss should matter. We want you to put time and effort into your ship, and that means time and effort into keeping your ship alive, and if something does happen, getting it back.
We've talked about physicalized damage in the past. Is this just a matter of getting that physicalized damage system in, or is there more to it than this?
First off, physicalized damage is tied to our Maelstrom system, which you probably didn't know, but we saw for the first time in action for the squadron demo. All the ships, for example, in the turret sequence were set up with Maelstrom and using our physicalized damage system. We're moving towards more a physically based system that actually works out the speed of the projectile, the collision, and then generates the force, and that force then dictates the damage that's associated with the ship itself. And what that means is that opens up a whole new area of gameplay for piracy, taking those ships back, repairing, going back to your ship, to actually either take it back to your own crafting hangar to be able to dismantle it for resources, or if you're the pirate itself, you can...
All right, that's new information too that we never had before, that I think we all assumed would be a thing, but it was never said. Taking a ship back to your hangar to dismantle it for resources. That is new information that was, I think, pretty clear and pretty obvious, but yeah.
You can actually take it to the council and get your own ID on there. But
I don't consider that proper salvaging either, but yeah. I don't you think that's what structural salvage should be? But I don't know.
Ultimately, while we have soft death in the game right now, that's kind of a faked soft death. It's kind of just a slightly move in that direction, but it's not the full physicalized system that we've been working on for a long time. You know, when John...
He did say crafting hangar. They drove to the crafting hangar in 4.0. I think that's not new information. The guy drove to the crafting hangar and showed them creating a ship, right?
Says loss matters. It's something we need to start talking about. If I have lost my ship and it does take a long time to get back, how does that impact me if I'm playing the game? What happens if that's my only ship? And I think that's where we need to start thinking about a more complex algorithm to deal with insurance claims and how you get your ship back. And then that directly ties into the TTK or TTD, time to disable, for us to be able to get these ships back. So if you think of, say, starter ships or...
Bro, your only ship should not be an Idris. Like, that's it.
Ships that are small in nature, so like an interceptor or some of our small racing ships, those ships should be, like I said in the 1.0 talk, should always be readily available. So if you lose those ships, we don't really want to punish the player. It needs to be a symbiosis where loss matters and it needs to be impactful to your game experience, but it can't be so impactful that it stops you playing the game. Then it essentially curves up towards the more extreme scenarios. We need to have this almost agile algorithm that basically allows us to work out, like, okay, how many times have you lost your ship in the last hour? Does this player have only one ship on their account? How do we take that into account to make the player experience fair?
Of course, that's the
Ooh, this is a dangerous idea, because players don't play by themselves all the time.
ultimate penalty, loss of your ship. Until that point, we've got features like resource networking, which is the beginning of this time to disable, this extending the length and life of your ship to make it so that not only does it not explode right away, but the players, the members aboard the ship, have more opportunities to repair the ship. What is that experience supposed to be like on a single player ship? How do we keep that alive longer to the larger ones?
It's a two-way thing. Obviously, time to kill, time to disable is generally thought about as the aggressor's point of view, but it also matters to the victim of this combat encounter.
Yeah.
We can't have it be so quick that you have no chance to do anything about that. So with physical damage and resource network, it moves it away from being a just sort of race to zero on the health. Items will start malfunctioning, forcing that person to make a decision of, am I going to flee? Am I going to deal with this now and take the risk? And then on the flip side, that gives you, as the aggressor, the chance to go, what do I want to do with this disabled ship now? Obviously, single seaters have less room for options in this scenario, but really the bulk of that gameplay is on the larger multi-crew ships, where you'll be moving around inside your ship, repairing, replacing relays. The engineer will be diverting power to different systems, just to sort of give everybody enough time to decide what they want to do in that scenario. And there's so many different scenarios that can be done.
Sounds like we're...
I'm so worried about this still, because they have made this is Star Citizen game development in a nutshell. They have made this decision internally when they have us as a resource. So instead of delivering us that gameplay, they kind of did with Arena Commander, but then they just stopped, right? They stopped halfway through, where they should have continued through Arena Commander and allowing us to get a feel for these changes and what they want to do, and they just never did. And I think it was a really stupid mistake, and I feel like they're going to suffer for it, and people are going to be really annoyed by some of the choices that they made, because they make them internally and they have no idea how we play, or it can hit a home run. But I can't remember CIG's batting average and slugging percentage is they would be cut from the team.
We're building a progression here. The larger ships intended to last longer, they have more lifespan, there's more that you can do to keep them alive. Am I sensing this right? Is there a progression here?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately we want you to progress in the game and build your fleet, whether that's solo or with a group. You need to be able to have some level of understanding that you're not going to lose it straight away. And the other aspect that I think is really important to see about in terms of when you say progression, it's not just progression for the TTK or TTD for across the entire spectrum of the game, or the progression for the player, the victim or the defender, or versus the attacker. When your ship is disabled, there's no way to bring that back. When we have the proper version where your ship components are gone and utilizing the physicalized damage, you can bring that ship back. And that's the huge difference. And that opens up...
That's everything here. And then I think I'm assuming he'll talk about it because he talked about it at CitizenCon, but like having a shuttle to go back to your ship and stuff is that we need to be there, right? Your ship doesn't explode. It's just there, and you have to go back and repair it, right? Oh man, my power plant died. So you go load up a power plant and fly over there and replace it, and then your ship's back up and running, and then you could bring it to a station to fully repair it or whatever. I don't want to lose my ship anymore. I want my ship to be my ship. I don't want it to be my ship that I can blow up whenever I want and just get a new one whenever I want, but it's my ship. No, I want it to be my ship, right?
This entire gameplay loop where you have towing and repair, and maybe somebody can repair it for you, and that's what, you know, they've opened a nearby shop, so they're a repair shop and they give you good chances to repair versus cheaper prices than taking it to an LZ or a space station. So I think when we talk about progression, especially from my perspective, I want to see progression across all the professions, and hopefully people start to see, and it's the reason why we wanted to talk about 1.0, people start to see how all these things connect together. There's a reason why we did all these things over the last 2 or 3 years. It's not like we were just throwing a dart at the dartboard and hoping that, oh, what feature is next? We had, you know, it's that grand plan about trying to bring them all together. But ultimately, we want to be in a position where we can start to focus and connect all of the gameplay systems. And I think this is a key part of that.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. This TDD, we're going to have to...
It's hard to see it coming together right now.
Get in the habit of calling it TDD now. It doesn't just open up the life of the folks who
It's really hard,
own
but
these ships
hopefully
and combat. I'm really excited about it opening up, like you said, repair, refueling, rearming, all these things.
Absolutely.
It's like it's your ship hull is still there, even passenger transport. Like, hey, you know, I need to get back to my ship, but you know, maybe it's still in a conflict zone and everything, so I need, you know, help to get back. There's so many opportunities that increasing the lifespan of these ships gives to the game.
And just to be clear as well on that front, they're not end game professions either.
No.
Every profession in the game should have a starting location, so you can become self-sufficient if you want to play by yourself and you want to try and figure it out on your own. But then you can also engage in the community and be online. So there's definitely avenues that are available to you.
You mentioned the difference between PvE and PvP. So these changes on the surface sound great from a player versus player standpoint, from a player making their life in the verse, but trying to do some of our more basic missions and realizing that, okay, well, this time to disable change could make some of those missions tedious if it were applied unevenly across.
There's two things to take into account. One is the fact that if we look at the balance across the entire game right now, and I'm going to say end game, the current end game, because the current end game really kind of finishes with medium ships. We don't really...
There is no game, Rich. There's no game. Nothing connects. There's no end game. Everything is on the website. Please, please, no, don't do this. Don't have this conversation where you look like you don't know, and because I know he knows.
Really have the large ship gameplay that we want to add. But the current end game is probably too easy, and the current starter position in terms of the balance of these missions is too hard.
Give us some for the PvEers.
And the second thing was for PvP and PvE. So you kind of have this opposite end of the spectrum. You have this end of the spectrum, which is PvE side, where we want you to be the
He's reading off a teleprompter? No, he's not.
Hero. And in that scenario, while we want to have challenging missions where you're going up against a high target bounty who's in a single ship and his ship is really well repaired, but we also want you to be able to go up against 4, 5, 6 ships as an encounter. Where we're going to start balancing that aspect is that those ships will probably be owned by bandits or pirates, and they'll be less well repaired, so they will be easier to kill or easier to disable. So if you talk about the PvE side, I think more ships will end up going critical and blowing up, so that you're not left with just these 5 ships. And it's also part of the economy balance that we don't want you to just constantly be collecting ships.
Yeah, this
but
is
ultimately
all
we'll have
theoretical.
That.
It's all theory.
Those big heroic experiences where you feel like a badass killing.
You don't want to be fighting the same 5 things for an hour.
And the thing is we're going to hear a lot of this theory for the time being, right? And I normally would be really frustrated by that, but I don't think we can anymore. Reason being is they had the conversation around 1.0. It's literally a Kickstarter pitch. Like, the guy on the right who's doing this, he had all the control for him, and marketing have had all the control over what happens in this game for the last 5 years. Now the guy on the left is saying, now it's my turn. Here's what I want to do. And it's really sad, but this is what it is. It's almost embarrassing. But I can't change the past. You can only hope that the future's better, and they have to tell you what they're doing better now is saying, this is what our future is, and then we have to see if they go to it. Like, they have this is 1.0, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do. And then it's up to them, and CIG's track record is absolutely horrendous. It's up to them to actually achieve those things. Do we think they will? At this point, I do not. They have to prove that they can. They have never proven that they can. So the all I want to, I plan to, we want to do this, we want to do that, it means nothing until they start doing that. So if you're hearing this conversation and getting frustrated, you have every right to be, especially if you've been around for a while. But if you still care about the game and you want the game to succeed, all you have to hope is that there's obviously something internal that's changed over the last year, right? With Rich, like the way they've communicated is this is the Rich Tyrer era and shit like that. So if they're saying stuff like that, something is changing internally, and all you as a backer can do, your money's been spent, right? So all you as a backer can do is hope that the Rich era is better than whatever the last era would be called, and that's it. You can't do anything about it. So there's no point in losing your mind about it. You just have to hold them accountable each and every time for what they say. So I'm just going to hold them accountable for these words, and you better start working towards these now. No more bullshit of the, oh, we'll fix it later. No more.
Right, exactly.
Disabling them all 1-1. You want them all to go.
And then on the PvP side, You know, we want to make sure that, well, even if you're in a starter ship and you're in a starter ship and we go and fight each other, or I'm in a medium ship and you're in a medium ship, we don't want to be in a position where 5 seconds it's gone. But ultimately, I think you're going to get greater enjoyment if you had to work for it and you had to have some level of challenge. And that's where we want to be in a position where we can look at PvE and PvP and we can balance them in a way that gives us the best experience for both of those players. And I think this comes back to what I said at CitizenCon. We genuinely want to strive that everybody who wants to play Star Citizen, that there is a role in the verse for those players and that they have something that they want to work towards and achieve. And ultimately, if they're going to, you know, spend their free time.
The problem is your entire community currently believes that they should be allowed to do every single thing that comes out in the game. And they get mad when they cannot, and they complain about it when they cannot. Everybody wants to do everything, and you have to accept in a game like an MMO that you probably won't get to be able to do everything. And you have to kind of choose your path and what you find to be the most fun. The problem with that is that they're developing the game as we're playing it, which means sometimes a patch comes out and the thing that you like ends up being bad. And the thing that you like or don't like ends up being the focus, right? And it just sucks.
We have a duty to make sure that we are providing fun for those players.
All right, so thank you guys so much. That's time to kill or time to disable, new term for the lexicon. Up next, we're gonna ask John Crew to take us on a photographic tour of his 4 dogs. It's 2 Spaniels and 2 Labradors. Stay tuned.
You thought you had the whole story, but there's still a lot you don't know.
Is it coming back?
Perfect.
I think it's coming back.
Mark Avon is the bug maker.
Prequel shows are all the rage these days.
Bug makers.
Wait,
It's easier than the show about fixing them ever was.
that's just CIG. Where's Elliot?
Welcome everybody to the return of Quantum Questions, where we take a CIG developer, put them on the hot seat, and make them answer as many questions in under 2 minutes as they can. Joining us on the show this week is Vehicle Art Director, Mr. Ben Curtis. Ben, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. You excited?
A little bit nervous and excited, yeah.
Let's put 2 minutes on the clock and begin. Who are you and what do you do?
My name's Ben Curtis and I am Vehicle and Weapons Art Director at CIG.
Are you any good at it?
I hope so. I'll let our back.
Yes, he is.
Jeffries tubes, yay or nay?
100% yes.
Why did the Polaris get so many new guns?
Because you want capital ships to be able to destroy things. But no, really, it just got PDCs.
Speaking of PDCs, are other ships going to get them now that they've arrived with the Polaris?
Yeah, we've added them to some existing ships already, and anything kind of capital ship and larger should get them.
Does that include the 890 jump?
Correct, yes.
Are you happy with the Polaris?
Very happy.
Tell us one of the ships from that CitizenCon tease of the next 12 months.
The Perseus.
Ooh, can you tell us another?
That's a cop-out. Okay, yeah, say another.
No.
Why don't we
What?
make more variants of existing vehicles?
I think when it comes to variants, it's a balance.
They have so many variants. What kind of fucking question is that?
Of backlog ships, new ships that we want to try and do, and then kind of variants, and it's just really getting them slotted in together.
If you could make a new variant of an existing vehicle right now, what would it be?
A bounty hunter cutter.
Oh, that's a good
what
one.
will be the next variant of an existing vehicle?
Super Hornet.
Retaliator modules. Which
Yes.
one are coming next?
Probably the dropship and habitation site spec.
What was your favorite temporary internal name for a ship or vehicle that never made it to the public?
We've come up with a code name, and all I'll say is you've got to catch them all.
Will the Connie get a Mark V after seeing how cool the Zeus is?
Probably not a Mark V, but it will get an update.
Okay.
Okay. Caterpillar modules. Give us something tangible. What are we thinking?
I think we've obviously got cargo at the moment. I think there's lots of opportunities. We could do exotic cargo. We could do, I know everyone wants a mini carrier or that sort of, mini ship.
We could do.
Med base, lots of opportunities.
Okay. Carrick blast shields?
Yes, in 4.0.
Oh, like
Carrick cargo doors?
In 4.0.
Oh!
I'm going to try to squeeze one more in. What is the next manufacturer to get a focus after everyone frees up from the Polaris?
We're still on RSI, but we're also pushing on to larger MISC ships and Drake ships.
And what's the deal with the long dash of the Star Lancer?
It's a subjective choice, and I thought it was really cool, and some people don't.
I think it looks fine.
All right, let's find out how you did. And so after part 1, Ben Curtis sets the standard with a whopping 15 questions answered correctly. We'll see if John Crew can best him next time. Up next, Dan McCabe. Is he really all you need to make every spaceship?
What was that?
Spaceship.
Is that just a prospector, or is that the new prospector? I don't know. When's that next show? It'll be on Sunday. Yeah, is that the salvage one? I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, it's just see you next time. That's it. So there is another. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's that. But I think what are the takeaways? Not much. We knew time to disable was a thing. Like for people who've been backing for a while or paying attention for a while, didn't learn much from the beginning thing. But the Carrick is a big deal. Wow. And Connie rework will be a thing, just confirming it, which we all thought would happen. It was like a little mini ISC, I guess. It wasn't bad. I thought it was a pretty good show.